There's a common saying that whenever two boats are in the water, they're racing. Today, we're going to tell you a couple of stories about getting there first and getting there last and what really matters.
Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Erik, Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. So it's really funny not being very competitive. I think either of us in a lot of situations.
Not really.
We're just like, oh, we're not in the rivalry. Oh, we're not very competitive about that. But we have heard so often that anytime there are two boats in the water, then it's a race.
Actually, here's the joke I've heard.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do you know when sailboat racing was invented?
When was sailboat racing invented?
When they built the second boat.
When they built, yeah. Okay, so exactly.
That's the other way of telling it.
That's a better way. Thank you for sharing that. And usually we're not eager to get in a race. You've done a little bit of racing, but mostly we are sailing to enjoy and explore. It's a wonderful way to travel, a slow travel where you can really notice what's going on and around you and enjoy every moment. And we aren't usually in a rush. But sometimes you want to get in before the sun sets, or you've been out on the water all day and you want to get to anchor so you can rest. So first we'll tell a couple of stories from life on the sailboat.
Well, they're all sail. Yeah, sometimes you may not be racing another boat, but you might be racing a circumstance. You might be trying to outrun a storm, or you might be trying to get somewhere before sunset, or you just need to get back in time to catch a flight or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, one time we were trying to go to this island called Ile-Fourchou, and we had just had our engine repaired.
I want. Not like just one time. This was when we were living on the sailboat, and this was our first months on the boat.
Yeah, it was our first months on the boat, and we had met some friends and we were traveling together, and they had been lamenting with us and waiting with us through the saga of getting our engine rebuilt. And finally it was all set to go, and we were going to do what was called a shakedown cruise, where we just go to some nearby islands, check it out, shake it up, and see if everything works or if there's something else that we need to take a look at. So finally get out of the dock where we've been having the repairs done. We tank up on fuel, and then we were sailing, but we were motor sailing.
Yeah, we were motoring.
And on the way.
So we leave the marina. I'm going to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
We leave the marina. And I have tested this engine. I've turned it on and off and on and off and on and off dozens of times just because I'm so happy that it works again. And we're making our way down the northeast coast of St. Martin, motoring, and the engine that has been working perfectly now that it's been repaired dies again. And
we're just like getting away from the island.
I'm shook. But we talk with our friends on the radio, and we decide to press on because we're traveling with 2 other boats to this neighboring French island called Ile-Fourchou. And we get fuel and we head out. We're heading upwind, so we can't sail. So we're motoring, and with one engine, and our engines are pretty small and pretty weak sauce. And so we're making like 2.5 knots by the end, just with the headwinds. So we're going very, very slow. And everyone else has gone. They're at anchor. They're having dinner, and we're pretty low. We're feeling low. We're discouraged, and we're not sure we're going to make it before dark. And we don't know what's going to be waiting for us when we get there. Are we going to have to anchor? Are we going to catch a mooring ball? We don't really know.
Is there going to be space for us?
Yeah. So out of the lee of the island comes this little Zodiac dinghy with our friend John zipping along, and we cannot believe he's coming so far out in this little small boat, and he's squealing and whooping because he's so
we're like, what is that? And we'll bounce up in the air, and then we hear this like
anyway, because he's coming out into some big choppy conditions that are, he's taking his little outboard into the big waters that we're trying to fight up against, and he just comes alongside to check on us and make sure that we're okay. And he reassures us and says, we're all there. We've got a space for you. There's a mooring ball that we're, I can't remember if it was a mooring ball or a space to anchor, but he's like, there's a place for you. You're going to make it. You're doing great. Hang in there. We'll take a look at your engine once we're all settled up. And that was a big lift for us because we were, one, discouraged that after all the time and waiting and effort, the engine was still not working. And two, we're just going so slow and it's taking us so long. And we don't know if we're going to get in before sunset, which we did. But also just that there was a spot waiting for us. And they might have even said, hey, we have dinner for you. I can't remember, but that would be very much like them.
Yeah. No, it was just really sweet to know they were looking out for us and thinking of us and remembering that we were still out there fighting the good fight. And so even though we didn't get there first and we didn't get there second, it still felt like a win because when we got there, there were people that we cared about waiting to welcome us.
And we got there.
Yeah.
And that was the main point.
And we got there.
All right. So that's one story of coming in last.
Yeah. And then I think the other one is when we trusted our compass or not.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So actually, yeah, this is actually the same shakedown cruise. We're just trying to take our boat out and figure out if all the repairs and improvements that we made were going to hold up under actual life out at sea. And so,
and I'll say that when the engine went out, we realized it had been not working for so long that a lot of sediment had settled into the bottom of the tank. And so when we were motoring upwind and it all got shaken up, all that sediment then clogged the fuel line. And the same friend, when he was helping test what was wrong, I think that's when he kind of sucked on the fuel line.
Yeah, it took the fuel line off the engine and sucked on it and couldn't get any fuel to come through. And so we said, okay, the engine's fine. It's just not getting any fuel. And then we had to go get to the fuel tank, which is buried beneath the floorboards of the boat, and open up the fuel tank and try and get it cleaned out because, yeah, I guess the shakedown cruise shook up all the sediment that had just settled at the bottom of the fuel tank. And so we had to clean out the fuel tank, which was no small project, but with the help of some good friends, we made it happen. And that's what good friends are for.
Yeah. It became such a high bar for friendship for us that this guy was willing to suck diesel for us. That's a true friend.
Yeah. Once we got it unclogged, John put it back in his mouth like a straw, sucked again. And this time he got
yep.
the fuel line is clear. So.
Taste the diesel. You're welcome.
Anyway. So yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. So we're out sailing with these same friends, and we actually got out. I think we got out first.
Yeah, so we were tied to mooring balls off of an island called SAILBOAT, which is a Dutch island, a little ways south of St. Martin, and we were actually headed back to St. Martin. We'd left and just the plan was to do a loop through a few of the islands, and so we're heading back to St. Martin, and we got started first. The other two boats were still with us, and they're having a leisurely breakfast. And so they cast off when they cast off. And one of the boats was a power yacht. So they were just going to get there when they got there. Mm-hmm. And the other one was a sailboat. And we had a very simple boat from an electronic standpoint. We didn't have a chart plotter or we had a very basic autopilot. I could just push a button and it would keep a course, but it wouldn't give me really any information about our heading or our bearing or anything like that. And as we're making our way back to St. Martin, we had to go around a point before we headed into the bay where we would anchor for the night. And to the naked eye, it looked like, yeah, we're gonna hit these rocks. We're gonna hit the point. So we're gonna adjust course a little bit. And up until this point, the three of us, the other boats had caught up with us, and we're all sailing in parallel, and it's kind of fun. We're
Mm-hmm.
all just sailing along. We're cheering for each other and making good headway. And then we change course by, I'm going to say 10 degrees, 10 to maybe 15 degrees. We start to veer off, and everybody else is holding their course. And my thought is, they're going to realize it eventually. They're going to realize that, they're going to need to adjust to get in safely. But they didn't. And the hours ticked off and ticked by, and evening was starting to come on. And we went way out to sea and realized that we had we'd corrected when we didn't need to correct, and that there's this optical illusion that happens as you sail. And they all had a little bit more sophisticated chart plotters, and they'd stayed their course, and we had not trusted our compass. And so we, even though we left first, we got in last. And they had all had dinner, cleaned up. We pulled in just at sunset, anchored near them. And I was talking with John afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, saw you change course out there. What happened?" And I just said, "Yeah," I explained. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, it's important. You just got to trust your compass and stay the course." And that has been a lesson for me and for us, I think, for years, not only in sailing, but, we teach it in our coaching framework, the Navigator framework. When it comes to pursuing something, it's easy to get intimidated and try and adjust course to actually go somewhere besides where you actually want to go. So
Yeah, I love that one. And the lesson was totally worth it. To trust your compass. When you know where you're going, then just keep going that way unless you get some new information. And even though we saw other more experienced sailors holding the course, we just did our own thing, and we learned a lot doing our own thing. And but moving forward, we didn't go way out to sea. We trusted our compass. We stayed the course, and we saved so many hours. So another compassionate lesson. This last one is a little different. It's a little fun, and it's a way more recent. It was just in February of 2025 in the British Virgin Islands. Erik and I were both on a trip together, and we wanted to get to a certain mooring field and catch a mooring ball so that we would be close and ready when it was time to turn in the boat the next morning. We didn't want to have a big long sail the next morning, and we knew this was a really popular spot because it's so close to the charter bases that people often start there or finish there, and it gets so crowded they've actually incorporated a feature where you can book a mooring ball online, and it opens up super early in the morning, especially if you're on vacation. It feels pretty early. And so Erik got up and he got ready to try to book the ball and pay for it in advance, but just they were all gone already. Even
like concert tickets.
Yeah, just so early in the morning. And so well, we're going to have the day that we're going to have. We're going to have a great time. And then we're going to try to get there. And they have half the balls you pay in advance, and the other half are kind of first come, first serve. And so we decided to take our chances with the first come, first serve.
Yeah. So we're getting down there. We're having a beautiful downwind sail. We're heading to Cooper Island, which is the mooring field that Emily is talking about. And we get there, and we're not sure if there's a mooring ball because it's still pretty full, but we turn the boat to bring the sails down. And as we're bringing the sails down, I'm turning the engines on because we're no longer sailing. And I realize that there's another boat sort of out of the corner of my eye coming into the mooring field.
And our crew spots a ball.
And our crew spots a mooring ball that is available. And then I realized that this guy is out of the corner of my eye is not only coming into the mooring field, but he's accelerating. And I say, "Oh, no, you don't. There's one ball. I'm clearly coming in to get this spot." And the guy is racing me.
He's like, "I'll get there before you."
And we have a couple of people that are down. I'm up top at the helm, and we have a couple of people that are down fishing. And all of a sudden they feel the boat go from 5 knots to 9. And they're like, "What is going on?" And I was like, this guy is not going to race me and get the last ball when we're clearly it's like cutting somebody off as they're trying to pull into a parking space.
We were here first, and the people fishing are like, they see the other boat and they're like, oh, they're racing, and they like start pulling their lines in as fast as they can. Like, we can't be trolling at this speed, and we can't troll in a mooring field and trying to get their hooks out of the water. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're in a race. And everybody up front is like on attention. They see the other guy and they're like, get the boat hook ready. Like,
yeah, because we
see the ball.
Yeah, we have to pull in, and not only do we have to pull in, but we have to we have to attach the boat to the mooring ball and claim it.
So we have to get there fast and stop.
So we come racing in, and 9 knots, just so you know, this is like pulling into a parking lot at 45 miles an hour. And
comparatively, yeah.
we get to the mooring ball, and this crew, they're fantastic. They've had all week long to practice picking up mooring balls, and and I'm going to try and make their life easy. And anyway, we pull up to the mooring ball, and I reverse the engines right at the right time. The boat comes to rest just at the perfect spot so they can reach over with the boat hook.
It was like a ballet.
Pick up the pennant on the mooring ball. They pick it up. They lace the lines through, and in an instant, we're attached. And this guy is like 30 feet behind us.
And he's still racing because he knows, like, oh, this is a charter boat. The crew might not be experienced. They could miss it. And if they aren't able to pick it up on their first try and they have to turn around, I'm going to swoop in and snap it up. So he's not giving up yet, but we get it.
We get it on the nose.
Right on the nose. First try. So beautiful. And the guy who reached over and got the boat hook, he started doing a little dance, and he's like, let's dance at them. Like, let's show them.
He's our guy from Cuba.
Nah, nah, nah. And it's pretty fun. We're like, it does feel good to win, especially when it means we don't now have to go hunt for somewhere else to anchor that is not going to be quite as placid. But then they see, like, as that other boat has to kind of drive away. They're like
the drive away of shame.
Yeah. They realize, it's a local captain. Like, you smoked the local captain, and the whole team was just so thrilled. And, I was so happy to be there because this is the first time that, like, you've ever raced.
That was probably my first boat race ever. I've been sailing since 2008, and I don't think I've ever raced except for that. And I told them, once we were done and the engines were off and everything, I was like, guys, my legs are jelly.
Yeah.
My legs are
You were feeling it, but you stayed focused. And we came in first before that other boat, but we got the last mooring ball. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. And you were a good sport. You didn't rub it in his face, but you
I'm a generous winner.
Took the mooring ball for sure. And everybody on the boat, it was such a unifying, triumphant way to end our week together. Yeah, it was delightful. Anyway.
So sometimes we're last. Sometimes you're going to be last. Sometimes you're going to be first. Sometimes you'll probably be in the middle. But as long as you get there,
that's what matters.
Then you win.
Yeah. What could go right?
What could go right? Hey guys, it's Erik. Before we sign off, I just want to give you the sailing update. June 7th through the 14th, we're going to be in Italy. All these next trips are in Europe, in the Mediterranean. Italy, Naples, beautiful spot, June 7th through the 14th. Greece, sailing out of Athens, July 19th through the 26th. Croatia, a town called Split. We're going to discover it together. I haven't been there before. So August 2nd through the 9th. Shoot us an email, hello@theawesomefactory.nyc, or ping us on social media, DM us, and we'd love to hear from you and hopefully welcome you aboard.